What is up, you guys? It is late Saturday night after midnight. We're here for our Saturday night secret sermons where I delve into the Nag Hammadi scriptures and we talk about the Gnostic Gospels together. This is our Secret Teachings of Jesus series. If you go to my channel page, there's a whole playlist of Secret Teachings of Jesus. And basically, what this Saturday night segment is all about is I was really curious and wanted to read the Gnostic Gospels and the Dead Sea Scrolls and some of those other writings, and I didn't know when I was going to have time, and so I thought it would be great to do this together and we could cover a portion every week. And so basically, I come home from work, I open, right now we're in the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and something will stand out to me in the book that we are in at the moment, and then I will turn the camera on, we read it together, and I give you the downloads I'm getting in real time. I'm not a theologian, I'm just a mystic and an enthusiast and interested. So this is all for entertainment purposes and curiosity. Let's see. Anything of note? I almost forgot that yesterday was Shabbat, and I almost forgot to light the candles and do the Eucharist and say the prayer. And I was already kind of into my meal, and I realized, I was like, you know what? I was tempted to just skip over it, but then I was like, no, it matters, especially right now with all of the conflict going on in the Middle East and all over the world. You know, I don't know if you guys were following me during the high holidays, but remember when I brought up the point that the high holidays had fallen on Shabbat this year. And so in the past, when Rosh Hashanah had started on Shabbat, those years had when the first night falls on Shabbat, there's like extra protection around and extra power that's revealed in the rituals and ceremonies and in the holiday that year. And usually the year that follows is either extremely blessed or there's a lot of conflict. So I think it's very interesting, and I mean, you know, it's crazy when you can look to see in hindsight, oh, okay, this is why Shabbat fell on, or Rosh Hashanah fell on Shabbat this year. This was a destined point in time and space, because it was not, I mean, I'm not even sure if it was the last day of Sukkot, during Sukkot, just after Sukkot. So the moment that the high holidays had finished and come to completion, the war broke out. So that signifies to me that everything that we did in our prayer, in our ritualing, was in preparation for putting that spiritual energy into the atmosphere to serve as protection. I remember during the consciousness lectures, our focus and intent was on unity, and to focus on unity first for the entire year, and also to look for the Creator in everything, even in the darkest times and in the darkest challenges. And the one of the main points of the consciousness lecture was that we want to have a year where we are face to face with the Creator, not face to the back of the Creator, and certainly, God forbid, back to back with the Creator. And so the person who can stand face to face with the Creator can see God working in the situation as it's unfolding, even though it might seem bleak and dark and all evidence proves that things are looking bad. It is that person who can see, okay, God is working through this, and there's something powerful that can be revealed if it's not already being revealed, and things can turn around in an instant. And so even though that same person that sees God's face in that moment still may be fearful, still may be, you know, suffering, but they have something to hold on to and an extra edge, an extra protection around them, that even if they feel the fear, and even if they're trembling in fear, they're still protected with that choice of certainty. The person who sees the back of God is the person who realizes after the fact, oh, I can see in hindsight now how that was valuable, how that was a powerful situation, how God was moving at the time, but it wasn't easy to see it then. I was distracted with my pain. I was distracted with my own discomfort. And so then it's one of those times where you're not really you don't see God in that situation while it's happening, but you can after the fact, which is still powerful, but it doesn't reveal nearly as much power as when you can be trembling in fear and standing in the face of oblivion and still choose to see the power of God working in that moment. And so the person who is back to back with the creator can't see the creator at all. They are in complete fear, complete darkness, complete despair, with no hope and no perspective, no vision. And so, so this year the goal was to strive for universal unity within the souls of all mankind, and to set our consciousness there, and to also keep our consciousness in Israel, because Israel is the spiritual heart of the whole world. It's where the heart center is of the entire planet. That's why there's always so much desire to have control and ownership over Israel. And so it's interesting that, the prayers and the united consciousness of the Kabbalah Center and the aim was always to hold on in unity for the sake of all. And so when we do our own individual healing work, it's like that goes into the power of the soul of all people. The bits of courage that I am building in myself, it extends like trees talk to one another, and they send each other the chemicals that they need to heal, right? When trees are sick, they do that. It's just like us on a soul level and the collective consciousness. It's like when I revealing courage and endurance, it spreads out to people, in remote places that are in my soul family. And we don't have to be in communication. It's just like in physics when we talk about particles and bilocation. When they stimulate a particle in a lab that has been with some intention connected with a separate particle in a separate lab, and it's like the stimulus that they put on one particle is reacting, and the other one in a remote location is reacting at the same time, even though it's not being stimulated. So there's so much going on that we just don't put our consciousness on, but we're so interconnected. And so the point is that I started to not take the Eucharist. I started to not light the candles of Shabbat. And I was like, no, I have to kindle the lights of Shabbat, because this is me connecting to Israel. And this is me in this moment spreading and sharing the light, not just with myself alone in this room, but like I was thinking about it in unity with Israel to put the prayers out into the world. It has a domino effect. So it's important now that we pray. And when we do things like that, when we do something that is a sacred moment or a ritual moment, even if it's just you're having a meditation, or you're just saying your nightly prayers, or whatever it is, if you do an act of sharing in your mind, think about it like this. Think about it, say, you know what, this isn't just an act of sharing with this person. This is an act of sharing with the souls of mankind, and I am doing this in the spirit of bringing the mankind together in unity. And so those are moments where we can set intentions toward peace and unity amongst all mankind, right? Can you imagine? Oh my God. So it seems cheesy and sentimental, but there is actual spiritual technology behind setting your intentions when you're doing your spiritual work, that you are putting that intent and that positivity and that unconditional love out toward, the people overseas, right? And it extends into the, your immediate family too. Still saying prayers for my mom. She had her leg surgery today. She had an ankle replacement several weeks ago and was on the mend and fell in her boot. So don't be careful if you're in a boot and you've been using a walker, because she got stuck, I think, on the rug and tripped, and it broke her shin inside the boot just above the ankle, and it shattered the bone. And this was just a fluke. This must have been destiny. I don't know, because there was something uncomfortable after her surgery. So we just chose to believe that this was going to fix that whole situation. So yes, very painful for her, but she was in surgery today. And so everyone say prayers for my mom. She was in a lot of pain, but I'm going to go try to visit her tomorrow before work again. Okay, so today's portion that we're getting into, after our talk about like conscious unity and practicing consciousness of unity, our portion from the Gospel of Philip. This is the gospel we've been in for quite a while. The Gospel of Philip are these like little portions of text that are these very cryptic sort of pieces of text that are meant to be meditated on and mulled over, and they're abstract and sort of and they're symbolic, but I've found that a lot of them have layers of like Kabbalistic commentary makes these passages make sense, where they seem ludicrous otherwise, or just like, why are they talking about this? Okay, so this portion is called Tame and Wild Animals. Some animals are tame, such as the bull, the donkey, and the like, while others are wild and live off in the wild. That was awkward. Sometimes I can't read. I always can't read. Okay, some animals are tame, such as bulls, the donkey, and the like, while others are wild and live off in the wild. People plow fields with tame animals, and as a result, people are nourished together with animals, whether tame or wild. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. Thus, the whole place has stability, good and evil, right and left. The Holy Spirit tends everything and rules over all the powers, whether tame or wild and running loose. For the Spirit is resolved to corral them so that they cannot escape even if they wish. You know what this is a case for? This is a job for Chart! Y'all know I love Chart. I love a chance to deploy Chart. Okay, so Chart is going to come in handy, but we're going to put that aside for just a moment. I'm going to read this one more time through, because this was kind of a bigger paragraph than we usually have during these segments. Okay, and there's a lot happening here. Okay, some animals are tame, such as the bull, the donkey, and the like, while others are wild and live off in the wild. People plow fields with tame animals, and as a result, people are nourished, together with animals, whether tame or wild. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. Thus, the whole place has stability, good and evil, right and left. The Holy Spirit tends to everything and rules over all the powers, whether tame or wild or running loose. For the Spirit is resolved to corral them so they cannot escape even if they wish. Okay, so the animals. The animals are representing our base instincts, our base desires, needs, our drive, right? Our reflexive tendencies. These are the tendencies that our ego sort of reigns over. And these are the things that we do when we're triggered and we're not connected or present with our higher consciousness. So some animals are tame, such as the bull, the donkey, and the like, while others are wild and live off in the wild. People plow fields with the tame animals, and as a result, people are nourished together with the wild and together with the animals, whether tame or wild. Okay, so people plow. So some animals are tame, such as the bull, the donkey, and the like, while others are wild and live off in the wild. So some of these instincts have been refined within us, and some of them haven't. And some of these instincts come up and they tempt us, and then we do something that is not domesticated. It's untamed, right? This is when we act out. And so the people plow their fields with the tame animals, meaning it talks about the powers, and like in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, it talks about the powers and the process of ascension, of ascending in the soul, of transcending our ego and healing. We are, Mary talked about overcoming the powers, and these are the 7 demons that we all have within us. And so in order to take reign and sovereignty over these powers within us, we have to tame them, we have to heal them, we have to bring them into balance. And so we all each have these, they're vices and virtues. And so they're laid out here. This is the tree of life. We talked about this ever so often. If you're new, I'm going to go over it real quick. So this is the map of reality. This is the governing forces of reality. This is the Godhead. These are the 10 dimensions of that. And then this is also the map of the human soul and our consciousness and our virtues within us. There are 3 columns here. There's the right column, which is the masculine column of mercy. There's the left-hand column, which is the feminine column of judgment. And then there's the central column. This is the neutral column. This is the column of consciousness rising, right? This is the Buddha consciousness, the Christ consciousness, and so forth. And so these are the 10 dimensions, like I said. And so these 3 up here, these are the supernal forces. This is Keter. This is pure light, source, creator, the light. This is the light. This is all of it in its most raw, unadulterated, abstract form. This is non-solid. You can't even wrap your mind around how abstract Keter is. But this is the wholeness of all of God, where we can't put a graven image on it. It's so abstract that there is no crystallization yet. There's no solidity. There's no image. There's no form. When the light comes through into this reality, so that it interacts with vessel. So this is the light, and this is the beginning of the sharing with the vessel. Everything under Keter is the vessel. And so when the light burst forth into this realm, think about the Big Bang. Literally light burst forth from a singularity into this empty space that there was no space to create space. That's basically what happened here as well. So the first jot of light came out, and that was the masculine force. Oh, sorry, it was this side. And it is pure, unadulterated dynamism, all potential, right? It's just pure chaos everywhere. Wild animal, right? It needs something to catch it, to give it form. Otherwise, it's just open, raw energy, like atomic energy when an atom has been broken open. So then immediately this masculine dynamism energy needs somewhere to go. So it is going over to the divine feminine, which catches it in a womb. It gives structure, discipline, boundary, shape, right? So it's restriction. So these three things are the basic, most supernal, primal energies of the universe. This is the root base of everything. The metaphor for this would be the primary colors. All the colors are built on those three colors: blue, red, and yellow. The energy equivalent is this. It is pure, neutral, light, masculine, and feminine energy. So masculine, feminine, neutral, central column. Okay. So the 7 demons, or the 7 powers, are down below. And these are not demons. This is just that when these forces have not been corrected or redeemed or balanced, they're out of balance. So we want them in balance. They're virtues. When they're out of balance, they're vices. So when they're out of balance, these are the demons, right? And they're referred to as the powers. And so when we are victorious over these, and we've mastered these areas of our consciousness and gained self-control in these areas, then we have overcome these powers. And so some of them bring up lust, some of them bring up greed, some of them bring up fear, some of them bring up, power struggles. They're all different. But they also bring up, when they're healed and in balance, they bring up very divine qualities in us as well. So it's all about bringing them into balance, reconciling your consciousness, and building affinity with the light of the Creator, right? So our process as souls is to break through the shells of our limited thinking, of our fears, of our negativity, of our covetousness, jealousy, doubt, lustiness, greed, what have you. As we break through these shells called klipat, we reveal more of the light within us. And then we have more affinity with the light of the Creator, and like attracts like. So then that puts us in union with divine flow, with divine inspiration, with divine provision. And then we're in that cosmic flow of harmony where we easily manifest miracles through our lives. So some animals are tame, such as bulls and the donkey and the like, while others are wild and live off the land. People plow fields with tame animals. And as a result, people are nourished together with the animals, tame or wild. So in order to plow your field in life, in order to make a stable consciousness, to have a stable internal kingdom of peace and serenity, we have to have tamed our beasts here. And so we cultivate and refine and heal our consciousness, so it's not out of control, so that we're not triggered into like ego default responses all the time. We're learning how to be cause consciousness and not effect consciousness. So as cause consciousness, we are like plowing the fields with tame animals, right? We've gotten a bit of control and intention, and we've domesticated these wild, out of control impulses, right? And so because of that, we can create and grow and lay foundations to build upon, or to plant seeds in, that can have the opportunity to sprout and grow and expand and bear fruit. And this will nourish not only us, but then it will also nourish those baser instincts, right? When we can elevate our consciousness and we know how to, turn inward and tune into source and balance things out to feel that fulfillment, then we know how to manage and get our needs met and approach life in a way that's fulfilling in a sustainable and healthy way. And then we know how to take care of those baser instincts that we need, right? Those base instincts that we need are then met, because we're not only meeting those base instincts, we're also meeting our higher, more awakened needs as well. And then from that place, we can go into that more wild or baser place from a place of control and intention, and meet and go in and nourish those sides of us as well. I have an itchy ear. Somebody might be talking about me. I don't know. What does it mean when your left ear itches? Okay. So let's see. People plow fields with tame animals, and as a result, people are nourished together with wild animals. I mean, just imagine trying to plow a field with wild animals. That is like trying to have a functional life when your consciousness is all over the place. Because even though you might be doing the right actions, I'm plowing the field, I've got the plow here, but it's like the wrong animal. It's going all over the place. It's creating chaos. It's not, you're having to exhaust your energy trying to get the animal to do what you want it to, because it's going to want to run off in the wild, right? So think about that when you're thinking about the parts of yourself that sabotage your efforts, whether you're trying to work on a long-term goal or project, whether this is how you are in relationships. And it's like, it's these parts of us that are the domesticated, tamed parts of us. And it's not to say that we have to put out our fire. Like when I'm talking, Glennon Doyle's book Untamed, and she's mostly talking about being a tulip, basic Becky person. I don't like to use the word Becky because my sister-in-law's Becky and she's not a basic Becky, but you know what I mean? And it's like, her point is that we are, told to behave and act a certain way to be desirable for society, right? And so that's not really what we're talking about. We're not talking about snuffing out your pizzazz or your moxie or your authenticity to fit into societal norms and, to be acceptable in cubicle world. That's not really the same. We're talking about a deeper level. We're talking about taming our wild, out of control impulses. We're talking about taming even the small triggers in our mind that turn off or that turn on, there's an inciting incident, we're triggered. So maybe something small, but then it gets us into a loop of obsessing, which then creates mindsets, which blow up into moods, emotions, and then you might react and you might take action that might actually cause damage or might have undesirable consequences, involved. So that is the wild animals that you're trying to use on your farm. It's like, why won't this cat behave and do what I want it to? It's like you're spending so much energy on something that is just not going to cooperate, right? And so the same in our consciousness. If we try to create in the outer world, even if we are trying to take the right actions and it all makes sense, if we're wild inside and we're up and down, nervous wreck, frantic, anxious, FOMO, YOLO, desperate, try dog paddling, forcing, yanking, pulling, whatever we're doing on the outside, the seed level of our energy is not going to match. Even if we try to act like everything's fine, what we're creating is going to have the essence of all of that chaos boiling within. So again, we may be plowing the field, but if we are chaos within, we are plowing the field with cats and we're hurting cats and we're wasting our energy because we're going to be running around trying to get the cats to do what we want all day. And they're just going to wander off and do their own thing. And so same, it's the more that we can master these levels of consciousness within us, we can master our emotions, master our thoughts, master our ability to show up in life in a productive, like prudent way, then by that mastery, we start yielding more fruit. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. So again, and prepares everything to come into being. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. So that's what I'm talking about. Everything that we prepare to come into being, no matter what, sending a text, writing an email, going to the grocery store, preparing a meal, packing for a trip, whatever you are doing, sitting down to take notes, to write a project, right? Sitting down, doing songwriting, going and doing a group meeting with some people, you know, whatever it is that you're doing and making and creating, make sure that you have a tameness, like a peace and a serenity and a joy and a feeling of abundance and hopefulness and optimism, or at least neutrality when you sit down to do that. Because if you are frantic and obsessing over something in the back of your mind when you go to send an email, and it might not even have anything to do with that thing, the seed level of the franticness is going to be in everything that you're touching and creating and putting your hand to. It's almost as if you've burnt, like if you're trying to cook your onions down to make your mirepoix, and that's the first part of making a soup. If you burn your onions right off the bat, you got to start over, because the whole thing is going to taste burnt, right? Same with your seed level of consciousness. Whatever the state of consciousness you're in when you're making or doing or taking an action or speaking or communicating with a person, that seed level, that's the flavor that's going to be in whatever you're creating. So you want it to be prime energy when you're creating and taking action. And so it takes discipline. It takes the practice of awareness to stay on top of ourselves. Because it's so easy to just slip into default setting, and then like the tape starts playing, and then we start talking to ourselves, and we start griping or whatever we're doing, and then that is just leaking out everywhere into everything. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. Thus the whole place has stability, good and evil, right and left. Okay, so the whole place has stability, good, evil, right, and left. So let's read that again. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. So this is the path of manifestation, and the more balanced and flowing the energies are through these pathways, the greater and more efficient and more proficient we are as a channel of the light, right? As this is coming down, this is what we're manifesting. So also the perfect human plows with the animals, whether tame or wild. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. So prepares everything to come into being. Thus the whole place has stability, good and evil, right and left. So right and left, when they're in balance, there's stability. And when these are in balance, it activates that central column, which turns on our consciousness and begins the elevation of consciousness. So, and then also there is a place for good and evil in the universe, or light and dark, or the right and left column. And if anything is removed, there will be a vacuum or a paradox, or like the universe could collapse. The law of conservation of matter says that matter cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transmuted. So we can't obliterate evil, but we can transmute it, right? Also, the opponent has a purpose and serves a purpose, even though it is an undesirable one. The opponent pushes us to evolve. If we don't have an opponent, we're going to be resting on our laurels. We're going to be, status quo. So the opponent is the gatekeeper that's like, no, you can't get into this exclusive club, the light. I'm going to ruin your chances. I'm going to ruin your chances. And it's like, no, I'm pushing through you, and I'm determined to fight through you to get to the light, right? It's our way of earning the light. It's the dragons that we fight to get to the light, so we actually appreciate it, so that we value that. So even, that balance, keep maintaining the balance of light and dark in this world comes from our inner work, right? When we do that inner work, we push the needle. We make a difference in the scales of light and dark. Thus, the whole place has stability, good, evil, right, and left, right? This is inner stability when these things are in balance. But this also creates outer stability and stability in the cosmos. We're all unified. We're all connected. So our healing affects the whole of the all. Okay. The Holy Spirit tends everything and rules over all the powers, whether tame or wild and running loose. So like we were just talking about, even the opponent serves a purpose, and the Spirit is overseeing that and allows for those energies to do what they will to a certain degree. But the Spirit has a plan over everything. And so everything serves a purpose unto Spirit. And Spirit makes sure that everything is contained and doesn't, what does it say? Doesn't escape even if they wish. Holy Spirit tends everything and rules over all the powers, whether tame or wild and running loose. For the Spirit is resolved to corral them so that they cannot escape even if they wish. And so that running loose, that's like that pure creative force energy with no direction, no shape, no vessel. It just goes into chaos. It just goes wild. And so think about the light coming in when we talk about it, when we have that miracle juice that's gathering over us and we are the vessel waiting to receive. If that light gets spilled out and it's running loose, then it's just chaos running loose. It needs a vessel. It's just masculine dynamism, unadulterated, without anything to hold it, right? The vessel. So the dark side loves it when that energy and that chaos gets spilled out, because they get to take it and they're trying to use it for their purposes. And so, it's the vessel has to be there to contain the light. And so we prepare the vessel with our consciousness by the work that we do, in the process in between these dimensions. These are the archetypal experiences and challenges and things that we face and grow through and overcome in this life. Okay. For the Spirit is resolved to corral them so that they cannot escape even if they wish. So again, the Spirit corrals these energies so that they are not complete chaos, right? If the universe was complete chaos, there would be no form. We would be like at the beginning of Genesis. The universe was without form and there was chaos and darkness and despair. And so there is an order. Spirit is making sure that things are held together, that we have this reality to be in, and that it hasn't spilled out into chaos. Spirit is holding the vessel together in our greater reality. Spirit holds the vessel together in our micro reality. But we have to prepare that vessel, and we have to earn that light. And so we do that by ascending and transcending our demons and taking sovereignty over those powers, so that they are tame animals that we plow with, and that they aren't wild animals that we are trying to plow with. All right, let's read this one more time for the cheap seats in the back, y'all. Some animals are tame, such as the bull, the donkey, and the like, while others are wild and live off in the wild. People plow fields with tame animals, and as a result, people are nourished together with animals, whether tame or wild. And meaning there that like the consciousness is nourished as well as those base instincts. You know, when you're nourishing the upper worlds and the upper realms within yourself, the lower ones are nourished with you. But if you only tend to the lower ones, then the upper ones suffer and starve. If you tend to the upper realms and the upper instincts, the divine inspiration, then everything is fed and nourished. It's a trickle-down effect. And it's that greater fulfillment that satisfies the base instincts, whereas the base instincts do not satisfy the greater fulfillment. Okay, so some people are tame, or some animals are tame, such as the bull, the donkey, and the like, while others are wild and live off in the wild. People plow fields with tame animals, and as a result, people are nourished together with animals, whether tame or wild. So also the perfect human plows with powers that are tame and prepares everything to come into being. Thus the whole place has stability, good and evil, right and left. The Holy Spirit tends everything and rules over all the powers, whether tame or wild or running loose. For the Spirit is resolved to corral them, so they cannot escape even if they wish. All right, you guys, I think we're done. I was just thinking to myself, was that all I had to say? I believe it is. All right, you guys. Well, I hope that you have a good Sunday and a good rest of your week. We'll be back tomorrow for the Energy Oracle forecast, and we will just take a look at the week ahead to see what kind of energetic and spiritual weather we will be living in. All right, y'all. Ciao. Oh, like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment, share. I have had a recent drop in the algorithm. Yes, by like tens of thousands less exposure. So I know some of you have been really active in commenting. I thank you so much. If you don't have anything to say, but you want to participate, just leave some emojis. Anything and every action helps, and it makes a difference, and it helps get these out to other people who might be interested or need them, or who can be helped by them. All right, you guys. Yes, just help me spread the light by taking action. All right, ciao.